In the last lecture, we talked about the conditions of validity of an insurance contract. We discussed the consent when there is an offer and acceptance, who is the offeror and who is the offeree, how acceptance could be communicated. We discussed in details the subject matter of the insurance contract. Specifically, we talked about the occurrence of the risk and the uncertainty of this risk or insured against. We also talked about the insurable interest and the conditions of having and that the parties and specifically the insured should have a pecuniary interest in having this insurance. Otherwise, the insurance contract or economic interest. Otherwise, the insurance contract is more likely a gambling technique or mechanism which is forbidden and not permissible under Egyptian law. We also explained that the subject matter and the consideration should both of them should be legitimate and not against and do not violate public order or public morals. And we explained in details the difference between the subject matter of the contract and the subject matter of the obligation. After discussing all the conditions of validity of this contract, today we are going to discuss the enforcement of the insurance contract, which means the performance of the obligations incumbent on each of the parties, which is um, what are the obligations that the insured has to perform, and what are the other obligations, since it is a bilateral contract, what are the other obligations that the insurance company is bound by. فهنتكلم بالتفصيل عن بعض الالتزامات أو جميع الالتزامات الأساسية الجوهرية اللي موجودة في الكتاب، لأن نلاقي بعض الالتزامات مش موجودة في الكتاب، ولكن دي هنعدي عليها أو هنذكرها بطريقة عارضة. أهم حاجة الالتزامات الموجودة في الكتاب، أهمها الالتزامات أو الواجبات التي تقع على عاتق المؤمن له، والالتزامات التي تقع على عاتق المؤمن أو شركة التأمين. طيب، بالنسبة لعقد التأمين، احنا قلنا the insurance contract is one of the bona fide good faith contracts، بمعنى ان هو من عقود حسن النية، وبالتالي هنلاقي بعض الالتزامات التي لا يكون من المألوف ذكرها أو وجودها في العقود الأخرى نتيجة لهذه الطبيعة، وهي طبيعة حسن النية. يعني we are going to find some obligations that are not common and not commonly do not commonly exist in other contracts. For instance, the first obligation, which is the obligation to disclose certain information to the insurer or the insurance company. طيب, before discussing this first obligation, I had just to mention that we have main three obligations that are incumbent on the insured. The first one is to disclose certain information to the insurer. The second one is to pay the premiums. And the third one is to give notice and inform the insurer of the occurrence of the risk, or more accurately, the materialization of the risk. Today we are going to discuss the first two obligations, which are the obligation to disclose certain information to the insurer, and the second one, which is the obligation to pay premiums. The obligation of the insured to disclose certain information to the insurer is an obligation that implies a duty or the insured duty to inform the insurer of all the circumstances and information surrounding the risk insured against. For instance, if the insurance agreement is regarding the risk of insuring a certain factory or house against the risk of a fire, the insured is under the obligation of or must inform the insurer of the surrounding circumstances, which means that whether the which means, for example, informing the insurer of the materials that are used in the construction of the factory or the house that is subject to the insurance, or the activities of the factory are related to carpentry, for example. Um, well, so the importance of this obligation is that to give the insurer the sufficient knowledge and to be sufficiently aware of the risk and the possibilities and chances of the materialization of this risk in order to be able to determine accurately the amount of the premiums to be paid. So this is a very important obligation. It seems that it is an obligation that is incumbent on the insured even before the conclusion of the contract, because this obligation, the insured has to inform the insurer of this information, based on which the insured will make its offer, and the insurer will decide whether to accept this offer or not, and the contract shall be concluded. So, although it is an obligation that falls on the insured, it is an obligation, contractual obligation, that starts even before the conclusion of the contract, but it continues during the period of the contract and during the performance of the contract, which means that it is a continuous obligation. Indeed, it's strange that the person bound by this obligation has to perform this obligation before the conclusion of the contract, but this is due to the specific nature of the insurance contract. This is why we are going to see further today that this obligation does not end or is not fulfilled just by informing the insurer of the necessary information just before the conclusion of the contract, but still the insured is bound by this obligation and has to inform the insurance company even during the performance of the contract, the period of the contract, if anything that may occur, any circumstances that may affect the occurrence of the risk. بمعنى إن على الرغم من هذا الالتزام، هو التزام تعاقدي بينشأ عن عقد التأمين، إلا إنه بيلتزم به المؤمن له حتى قبل إبرام العقد. يعني المؤمن له لما يجي في لحظة إن هو بيعمل الإيجاب اللي احنا اتفقنا عليه، اللي هو من يقوم بالإيجاب هو مؤمن له، ده بيكون بناء عن بعض البيانات اللي هو قام باختارها أو قام بإعلام المؤمن شركة التأمين بي، بمعنى بلغوا ان الخطر، لو احنا مثلا في مثال التأمين ضد خطر الحريق على ضد خطر حريق فيما يتعلق مثلا بعقار او بشقة بمصنع، المؤمن له لازم يبلغ المؤمن بكل الظروف المحيطة. يعني هل يا ترى المصنع ده موجود في الصحراء ولا موجود في حتة سكنية؟ هل يا ترى حتة السكنية مكدسة يعني فيها كثافة السكانية عالية ولا لأ؟ هل يا ترى ده عشان نقدر طبعا يعرف عربية الإسعاف تروح بسرعة ولا قبل ما توصل تكون الخطر تضاعف؟ ده بيفرق جدا في حسابات تحقق الخطر. هل يا ترى الأنشطة اللي جنبها عاملة ازاي؟ هل يا ترى نوع نشاط المصنع نفسه عامل ازاي؟ كل دي عوامل يجب ان هو يخبر او يقوم باختار المؤمن شركة التأمين بها، لكي يستطيع المؤمن تحديد قسط التأمين المناسب، لأن كلما ارتفع الخطر، نسبة حدوث الخطر، كلما ارتفع قسط التأمين اللي المؤمن له ملزم بدفعه. Of course, the insured is not under the obligation to inform the insurer of every and any single little detail that is related to the risk. The issue here is that the disclosed information must be relevant to the risk. But how to decide whether it is relevant or not, this depends on two standards or criteria. The first standard is the objective standard, which means that the risk that could, the circumstances and the information that could affect um, the risk or the occurrence of the risk, irrespective of the behavior of the insured. For example, لو احنا في عقد تأمين عن الحياة، لازم أكيد أبلغ بالعمر المؤمن له والأمراض اللي بيعاني منها وحالته الصحية وهو بيشتغل إيه والكلام ده كله. ده بديهي، ده بغض النظر عن سلوك المؤمن له عامل إزاي. فالحاجات دي كلها في أي تأمين عن الحياة لازم يتم ذكرها. دي ليه؟ لأن دي ليها علاقة بالخطر المؤمن ضده وهو خطر الموت. طيب في حالة subjective facts, these are also must be disclosed to the insurance company. However, the standard here is the reasonable man test, the reasonable person test. يعني ايه؟ اللي هو سلوك الرجل المعتاد، الرجل الطبيعي اللي في المكان الطبيعي. هل يا ترى بعض المعلومات المتعلقة بتصرفه الشخصي هل يجب عليه ان هو يفصح عنها او يعلمها لشركة التأمين ام لا؟ ده بيعتمد على سلوك الشخص المعتاد. يعني هل يا ترى مثلا لو هو في عقد التأمين لازم ابلغ مثلا اقول ان انا انسان متهور، ان انا انسان مؤمن له انسان ما يعني مش حريص الحرص العادي؟ هل يا ترى مثلا ان انا اقول ان هو عنده بيسافر كتير، بيركب طيارات كتير، شغل بيحتم عليه الطبيعة دي بتخضع في الآخر التقدير القاضي والمعيار اللي القاضي بيستند فيها لتحديد إذا ما كان الشخص مخطئ أم لا، أو مؤمن له مخطئ ولا لا، في عدم الإفصاح بتلك المعلومة. هو بيبقى سلطته التقديرية بس بناء على معيار الرجل المعتاد. Of course the second condition is that the disclosed information must be or should be known to the insured, and this is a very logical condition. ازاي هطالب المؤمن له بان هو يثبت او ينفذ او يخبر شركة تأمين بمعلومة هو اصلا مش عالمها؟ يبقى بالتالي يجب ان تكون المعلومة معروفة او على علم بها، المؤمن له على علم بها، لكي يكون ملزم باختارها او باخبار المؤمن له بها. طيب الشرط الثالث والاخير، ان او في العادي يعني عشان نبقى عارفين ان مش اي معلومة لا يتم الافصاح عنها تعتبر معلومة جوهرية وبالتالي يترتب عليها اخلال بالالتزام ده، التزام الافصاح عن المعلومات المتعلقة بالخطر. لا، هي المعلومات فقط الجوهرية. طيب مين اللي بيحدد المعلومات الجوهرية؟ برضو سلطة التقدير للقاضي. والمعلومات اللي بتتعلق بطبيعة المعلومات الموضوعية اللي بتتعلق بطبيعة الخطر المؤمن ضده اللي احنا قلناها في الاول، اللي هي الاوبجكتيف ستاندرد فاكتس. طيب اما لو المؤمن في، احنا قلنا شركة التأمين في ال questionnaire the questionnaire form that it makes and presents to the insured in order to respond and answer the questions provided therein. Therefore, the judge may presume that these questions and the information provided for these questions in form of answers are substantive، يعني معلومات جوهرية. وبالتالي حتى لو التقدير العادي ان ده مش معلومة جوهرية وبالتالي وهي مش معلومة موضعية، لكن كون ان شركة التأمين تحط المعلومة دي في الكويستشنير في البيان الاستجواب بتاعها اللي بتعمله في الاول، بيخلي القاضي يكون قرينة قضائية زي ما هو واضح في الكتاب ان المعلومه دي بالنسبه لشركه التامين هي معلومه جوهريه، وبالتالي عدم الافصاح بها او الافصاح بها بطريقه فيها اخلال يؤدي الى بطلان العقد زي ما هنشوف دلوقتي حالا. So in the case of a misrepresentation, which means that not presenting or not informing the insurance company of the true or the full information, the contract that is concluded shall be null and void for misrepresentation that was made by the insured. We mentioned before that the disclosure, the obligation to inform the insurance company of the circumstances surrounding or the information related to the risk is not an obligation that is incumbent on the insured at the time of concluding the contract, but it is a continuous obligation, which means that this party, the insured, has the obligation to disclose any change to the risk that takes place even after the conclusion of the contract, which means that, for example, assuming we talked about our the factory, the insurance against the risk of the factory being burned down or set on fire or anything. So assuming that there is a change in the activity of the factory. احنا قلنا ان هو كان متعلق بالكاربنتري، يعني متعلق بالنجارة. دلوقتي الاكتيفيتي بقى petrochemical. لازم I have to inform the insurance company of this change in the objective facts، علشان خاطر هنا بديهي جدا ان نسبة حدوث الحريق هتزيد. احنا دلوقتي مصنع بتروكيماويات، وبالتالي اي تعديل في الظروف المتعلقة أو المحيطة اللي ممكن تؤثر في حدوث الخطر يجب أن يتم إخبار المؤمن بها على الفور. As a result of informing and performing this obligation, the insurance company has three options. First one, whether to decide to rescind the contract, the insurance contract, and this option is only available to the insurance company if it is established that the risk has substantively and substantially changed and increased, which means that the new circumstances has substantially increased the possibilities of the materialization and the occurrence of the risk in a way that had it been like this before concluding the contract, the insurance company would have never entered into this agreement and would have never ever concluded this contract. So this is option one. It's worth to note that in case of rescission, the rescission shall have only effect with respect to the future, which means that it has a prospective effect. In other words, the premiums that were paid during the performance of the contract before the occurrence of this new circumstances will not be restored or will not be restituted or paid back to the insured. And the reason for this is very simple. During this period, which was prior to the occurrence of the new circumstances, the insured paid these premiums for a service which was to be insured against the fire. So these were paid for a purpose and was paid for something in consideration of these were paid in consideration of the protection and the coverage that it had during this time. So basically, and since it is a contract where the time that the contract is performed over a period of time, there is no retroactive effect that comes with the rescission of the contract. Now, the second option is that the insurance company will maintain the contract and continue to perform and to continue to cover any damages that may occur as a result of the risk. However, it will ask and compel the insured to pay higher premiums because now the risk occurrences, chances to occur, has increased substantially. The third and the last option will be just to keep the contract as it is and maintain the contract with the same premiums and same condition, despite the increase in the possibilities of the insurance of the occurrence of the risk. Now, the second obligation of that the insured is bound by is the obligation to pay premiums. This is a very important obligation because, as we explained earlier before, the premiums is the tool that the insurance company relies on in order to fulfill its obligation to pay the sum assured to the other insured persons in case the risk or materializes. So without fulfilling or performing this obligation, the whole insurance industry will collapse. For this reason, it is a substantial obligation, and the payment should be made on time, which means that becomes due from the dates determined and assigned in the insurance policy. Therefore, if the insured wishes to keep the contract into force, it has the obligation to pay its premiums when it is due. The most important thing in this chapter or this section is that the effects of failing to pay the premiums on time. Normally, if the insured fails to pay the premiums, the insured company will have to serve a summon or a notice of failure to perform the obligation on time, and then will seek either a specific performance, which means that a judgment rendered by the court ordering the insured to pay the premiums, or will seek the rescission of the contract. But in this case, if the risk occurs or materialize occurs before the court decision, then the insurance company will have to pay the sum assured. Therefore, in some of the cases, as a result of such unfair situation, insurance company will usually provide in their policy a clause of consensual rescission, which means that in case one of the parties fail to perform its obligation, and specifically the insured to pay the premiums, the other party, which is the insurance company, has the right to consider that the contract is automatically rescinded without the need of a notice or even a summon or a declaratory judgment from the judge. In this way, the insurance company protect itself against the insured failure to pay the premiums, and avoid the repercussions and the consequences of just waiting for a judicial decision holding the rescission of the contract. And as we mentioned before, الخطر أو الاحتمالية أن يحدث أو يقع الخطر أو تقع الكارثة قبل قيام القاضي بالحكم بفسخ العقد، وبالتالي هتضطر إن هي تدفع مبلغ التأمين على الرغم من أن الطرف الآخر لم يقم بدفع أقساط التأمين. حل آخر بتلجأ شركات التأمين إن هي بتنص في العقود بتاعتها أو في بوليسة التأمين بتاعتها على شرط وقف سريان العقد, the suspension of the performance of the contract, which may occur in the scenario where the insured fails to pay its premium. في حالة فشل أو في حالة عدم قيام المؤمن له بدفع أقساط التأمين، يحق لشركة التأمين وقف تنفيذ أو وقف سريان العقد. وفي تلك الحالة إذا حصل إن المؤمن له لم يدفع أقساط التأمين ووقعت الكارثة بعد إخلاله ده، في الحالة دي شركة التأمين مش هتكون ملزمة بدفع مبلغ التأمين على الرغم من العقد لم يتم فسخه، لا فسخ قضائي ولا فسخ اتفاقي، لكن العقد تم إيقاف أو تم وقف سريانه. وبالتالي في الحالة دي أول ما يرجع تاني المؤمن له يدفع الأقساط، هترجع شركة التأمين تاني تستكمل تغطية الخطر أو تغطية المؤمن له ضد الخطر ووقوع الكارثة. بمعنى إن في حالة إن بعد ما رجع تاني وقعت الكارثة تانية أو وقع تلف تاني في الشيء المؤمن عليه، وحصل إن شركة التأمين استلمت القسط والمؤمن له دفع القسط، يبتدي عقد التأمين تاني في السريان تاني واستكمال تنفيذه. طبعا آخر فرضية بس عشان خاطر ما فيش يعني طريقة إن إحنا to interact وإن يبقى فيه أسئلة وأنا أرد على الأسئلة. ماذا يحدث لو إن في حالة إن كان في بند اللي هو بينص على وقف سريان لتنفيذ التأمين، وحصل إن تحقق الخطر، وبالتالي استحالة إن الخطر يرجع يتحقق تاني لو استكمل المؤمن له دفع قسط التأمين. يعني مثلا عربية متأمن عليها ضد السرقة، خلاص، وقف وحصل إن هي وقت ما العقد كان غير ساري بسبب ان المؤمن له ما دفعش الاقساط، العربية دي اتحرقت. في الحالة دي العقد بيفسخ بقوة القانون. ليه؟ لأن العقد تنفيذه أصبح مستحيل. ليه؟ لأن حتى لو على فرض إن رجع المؤمن له واستكمل دفع الأقساط، مستحيل إن الخطر يتحقق، اللي هو مستحيل إن العربية اللي اتحرقت تتسرق، وبالتالي العقد في الحالة دي بيفسخ. امتى العقد بيستكمل ويحصل فترة السريان دي بتكمل عادي؟ لما يفضل التنفيذ ممكن. يعني على سبيل المثال، مأمن على العربية ضد التلف والهلاك، حصل ان العربية اثناء فترة وقف سريان العقد حصل لها تلف، خلاص، بس العربية لسه موجودة، صلحتها وكملت وقمت دافع اقساط التأمين، جيت ادفع اقساط التأمين وبعد كده وانا ماشي بالعربية حصل تلف تاني، ساعتها شركة التأمين ملزمة بدفع مبلغ التأمين. And this is the one of the obligations that we are going to discuss in the next lecture. In the next lecture, we are going to discuss the last obligation that the insured is bound by, which is the obligation to give notice of the occurrence of the risk, and the obligation of the insurance company to pay the sum assured. Thank you.